Have you ever had a camera shot on you because of overheating during production?
Many times.
Many times. How is the feeling? Horrible, no? You just simply can't do anything. You literally have people waiting for you. Like it can be the protagonist, it can be the crew, it doesn't matter, but you feel like an idiot. So this is something that I'm happy that they took notes and they're trying to improve.
This is Focus Check, the weekly Cinetech podcast.
Welcome to episode 92 of CineD Focus Check. It's nice to have you back, Johnny, in person.
Thank you very much. You know that literally it was landing from the Far East directly to the podcast studio.
Yeah, that's true, actually. You must be jet-lagged. Well, not yet. That comes late this afternoon.
That's right.
So, Interby, and then the trip continued to something we can't really talk about yet, but...
We can't talk about yet, but yes. So, we will mention Interby in a second, but we are working on a lot of new stuff that we will be able to expose later next year, actually. So, we are already making sure that things are secure for next year, and it's gonna be extremely exciting. Yeah, we are very much looking forward to share with you guys. Yeah, our slogan probably is gonna become interesting times ahead.
Okay, well, before I ask you about you already gave us impressions from Interby last week before we were cut off because of they kicked you out.
Yeah.
Before I ask you about this, let's just go through what we will talk about this week. So, first of all, we're gonna talk about our MZed Pro sale, which is the sale of the year, the only time this year that we actually have our annual subscription on sale. It's, I can tell you, a very, very popular item this year, and I can see and tell you why. And we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about what's coming for MZed in 2026. And we'll mention our MZed Fall giveaway, which is now also ongoing, where you can win $500 worth of vouchers for B&H or other retailers. And all it takes is taking part in the free giveaway. But then in terms of gear news, we'll talk about an update to the Nexus G1 cinema camera, which is this, I would say, passion project by some filmmakers who've really turned a Blackmagic camera into a kind of Pixies-like camera. It's like a box camera that looks, it was announced before the Pixies, and we can talk about what it has going for it now that the Pixies is also out, right? Which is, of course, a competition. We'll talk about the latest updates, firmware updates to the LUMIX S1 V2, S1 2E, and S1 R2, which are quite significant because they supposedly fix the overheating issues that a lot of people had. And I'm looking behind the scenes to Felix, who's like nodding his head, who has been, you purchased 2 of them, right? S1 2s, and only to suffer from overheating quite a few times. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about a long article I wrote on the global memory shortage in 2026. This was actually inspired by a memory card manufacturer who told us that this is a severe issue in the industry. And then I did a bit of research and found out that, it is actually also going to affect the filmmaking world, of course, and what that's going to mean for memory prices in general in 2026 and why that is happening. We'll talk about that. We ran an article by our friend Leon Bernard, who is a Blackmagic certified person. What is it? Blackmagic certified expert.
Yeah.
And a very nice guy from the UK. He and his wife, Natalie, have an amazing YouTube channel called Team 2 Films, and they made another nice new video on shooting Apple Immersive video with the Blackmagic URSA Cine Immersive. We've already run a guest article from him on this subject before, but this time they took this beast of a camera to the Swiss Alps and shared how it went. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about the Libec tripod that was just launched that you reported about from Interby, which is a very, very affordable tripod. We'll talk about the Panomicron Bismuth 50mm 1.5x anamorphic lens, now available for M mount, which is exciting. And also in the same vein, like lens news, we'll mention the Module 8 Mood Hypnotic Sony E-mount tuner, which is giving you really quite a swirly character. And it's an E-mount to E-mount adapter, so you can kind of make everything all your E-mount lenses look like, you have got swirly bokeh. And last but not least, a small update to Adobe Premiere, which was worth mentioning because now we have native Nikon and RAW support and some new AI tools that we mentioned before in the production version of Adobe Premiere, not the beta version anymore. But let's start off with our MZed Pro Black Friday sale. Now, this is an important time for MZed every time this of the year. Like every year, Black Friday traditionally is the time where there's the only time where we kind of rebate MZed and the normal annual subscription price is $349 and during Black Friday it's rebated to $199. So that's
Maybe
over 40% off.
What is MZed for those who are not familiar with the platform?
That's a good point. MZed is, we say, the leading educational platform for filmmakers in the world. We have over 66 courses with constantly growing from some of the leading filmmakers in the world. A lot of ASC filmmakers, Philip Bloom, Vincent Laforet. We have an Oscar winner with Tom Cross, who, like the editor of No Time to Die or Whiplash and many other movies, has an 8-hour course, actually, the editing course that he gave. This is exclusive to MZed and many, many other things. So the depth of knowledge here is really unmatched. This is also why, 4 years ago, we decided to take over MZed because
it was a dream come true for us to have an educational platform.
Exactly.
Because that's part of our responsibility for the future generation.
And I mean, the depth of knowledge here is really unmatched. It's not just, because we know there are of course there are other course platforms out there, but if you look at them, they usually are scraping the surface, right? I mean, some might have big names also, but if you look at the depth of knowledge, it's sometimes very short courses and then, or just not going very deep. Now, we have some courses that are really exceptionally well reviewed. If you just look at the reviews, people love the content, and we're working hard on revamping the platform as a platform in addition to constantly adding new courses. Now, first of all, we have now added, I think, 7 courses over the last 12 months, and I think of quite a few more are in post-production and production now, which will be added very soon. We're focused a lot on efficiency, like making filmmakers more efficient with some smaller courses, and the series is called The Efficient Filmmaker. 3 of those courses by our friend Masha Dekova are already out, and they all deal with subtitling, masking, video masking, and Gaussian splatting, which means location scouting by making 3D models. And because just making those typical things you need to do as a filmmaker on set much more efficient. Basically the stuff you don't want to do, especially if you're working in a small team. It's the time that the stuff that takes a lot of time, that takes away from your creativity. Those are the things we want to simplify and help people simplify. There's also going to be very soon a 4th course in this series, which is going to deal with shot listing. We don't have the exact name yet, but it's going to be a shot listing masterclass by Leland Crane, a DP from the US. And he and his wife are the minds behind the platform Shotcraft, which is a way to shot list using some workflow tools that also utilize some AI to help you kind of simplify it. So basically, breaking down scenes manually can still be done manually, of course, but it's very time intensive. You can with this platform, and you can have it broken down automatically, and then it will tell you, how about this? How about starting with a wide shot here, doing a close-up here, and it's really analyzing stuff, and then you can start playing with it. It's almost like a brainstorming buddy for you to shortlist everything you do if you're working with scripted movies or scripted films in general. And that course is almost done now and will be added to the platform too. We also, we're really serving filmmakers. So, everybody who makes a course on MZed is an experienced filmmaker, a pro seasoned filmmaker. But like we have mentioned many times before, we cannot, close our eyes about what's going on with generative AI, which is why we've decided to produce a course on ethical generative AI, meaning it is a course that is dealing with your own footage. Some, like Drew Shirazi, the guy behind the House of Cards intro, for example, he also worked on West Side Story with Steven Spielberg and many other very well-seasoned filmmakers. I mean, he's really a very experienced guy, especially, like as a I would say a second unit operator on big productions, specializing on great visuals. He's a, great visual storyteller, and he really dived into AI filmmaking and doing this with his own footage. And that's why this course, Directing the Future, is really dealing with everything that's going on now, but based on your own footage, like not stolen, copyrighted other stuff, and how you can utilize that as a filmmaker and kind of make it work for yourself without taking away and outsourcing your creativity. It's more like supercharging it. And the cool thing is he's updating the course every month. We haven't announced it yet, but we just added a new lesson, which is dealing with Sora 2. He's already working on something that's working with Nano Banana Pro, which just came out, Gemini 3 from Google, which is already, again, changing a lot of things. I mean, things are happening so fast in this space, but you really have to keep track. It's something that, is creeping into productions everywhere. It's just funny that that there's so much pushback from the existing creative community, but I can already see this changing because otherwise a lot of people's jobs will be eaten alive if they don't take it seriously. And rather than being replaced, we'd rather make it work for our own gains and make it a creative tool rather than something that replaces creativity. So this course is, and also the efficient filmmaker courses are going to be updated frequently. And so if you're a subscriber, for example, with now, like 43% off during this week, you will get updates to this all the time, because I think a lot of people are overwhelmed with all the AI tools that are coming out, and it's just hard to keep track. If you stick to this course and keep watching, you will get a great overview of what's happening and how you can use it for your own creative works.
So what are we offering actually people this Black Friday with MZed?
We're offering 43% off. So it's instead of $349, it's $199. The renewal is always $199. So if you stick around from the second year, it will be $199. But it's also the sign-up price, and that's a lot of people are making use of this. And we're also announcing what's going to happen in the future. So there's a bit of a tease in this in this article, what we have planned and what we're working on in the background now. Now, first of all, we spend a lot of time technically in the background. I mean, everything about MZed is custom programmed. We're not relying on, just for people of you who know, there are ways to run a course platform where you kind of use a ready-made solution. We're not using a ready-made solution. We have a solution that is custom programmed, which has the advantage that it can be exactly fitted to what people need. And for example, we have certification on the platform. The whole ARI Academy runs through MZed. So if you take an ARI course, you will get a certificate at the end that you actually need to show as an operator. If you're somebody, a lot of rental houses and production companies actually require to show the certificate that you have taken this course. You will get an ARI certified signed certificate if you take one of those ARI courses that are dealing with, for example, the Alexa cameras. And we are offering a lot of certification also for other courses, which, it helps people. We're working on other things that also in the future there will be the opportunity to actually have almost like a test at the end of a course. So just to prove that you've learned and then get the certification for that, which is taking this certification to the next level, because it's going to be industry recognized by a lot of people and a lot of production companies around the world. We're working with big players in the industry that are, demanding this. If you are going to be on a big set by XYZ studio, they will want to know if you're certified to use something or if you have taken a course on something, and this is the way to do it. we also gonna focus a lot more on community. So the community is something that we think is very, very important. We have a great community with MZed and CineD, but I think we can do better engaging them. And one thing that we're going to start very soon is something that we'll call MZed Creator Council. It's going to be a monthly video call with me, with some other people from the MZed team. And this is basically going to be like a feedback session. So as a member, you can give feedback on what you like, what you want changed, what you're looking for, like put in requests for new courses, for new features and all that. That's going to be a regular sit down with the members. There's also going to be live Q&A streams with course creators. So the people whose courses you have watched, and we will reach out to everybody because we know exactly who watched which course, right? So we can email everybody. It's like, oh, you watched this course, you had interest in this course, and you watched it till the end. Are you interested in actually asking this person some questions about your workflow? And there's going to be a live stream, and these live streams are going to be recorded also and end up on the platform. But if you are part of the live stream, you will be able to ask questions if you are a member to our course creators, and that should be a regular thing as well. We're also thinking about, like the podcast we do here, I want to do an educational podcast, which is going to interview filmmakers. We constantly get offers to interview very high profile filmmakers of big productions basically, but very often we just don't do it. And I think this is going to be a nice, because I think it needs a format. Every once in the moon, of course, we interview somebody else here on this podcast, but that's not the regular format here. The regular format is us talking about the news and about our reviews. But I think it deserves its own educational podcast, and this is going to be free for members, and it's going to be very interesting for people who are, want to know about how a specific scene was made in one of their favorite productions and so on. And again, people can also suggest people for interviews, and then we'll try to reach out to them and their agents to get them. So there's going to be more community in general. Like we'll find ways to have the community interact with each other. Whether it's going to be a moderated forum or something like that, we'll still be exploring what will work best in 2026. So everything is going to be about interactivity next year with MZed, and a lot more content will be regularly added to the platform. And next thing I want to mention, we have a giveaway currently, which is it's branded as an MZed giveaway, but it's open for everybody. So if you want to take part in this and want to win one of 5 $100 B&H vouchers, which are generously sponsored by B&H, by the way, you can take part in this giveaway. Now, if you're not in the US or anywhere where you can actually, receive gear from B&H, if you are among the winners, we guarantee you we will pay those $100 for you for a local retailer or some online retailer not of your choice, but you will get a voucher that you can actually use no matter where you are. In order to win, everything is on the website, of course, link in the show notes as well. Depending on how many things you actually do, you get more chances to win. So, for example, the typical stuff is, following our social media and so on. But there's also a survey, and it's an MZed-related survey, which is actually asking people what they expect from MZed in the future. And those are, a lot of the things I already talked about, but also, we're thinking about opening up and having a general call for course content from creators, whether we just want to find out if this is something that people would want or not. Because, just opening up course creation to the community, is this something people want? Of course, curated or not, and many, many other questions where this can go. And if you take part in the survey, you have higher chance of winning. You also have a much higher chance of winning if you are an MZed Pro member. So if you're a paying member already, you will get more points if you take part in this survey. And but in general, it is free to enter, and all the details are on the website. So yeah, the Black Friday sale, the MZed Black Friday sale, is going on until next week. So don't miss this. We are rarely doing a sale. This is a very rare occasion. And if you're interested in learning, and we have over 850 filmmaking lessons, 66 courses, and hundreds of hours of content, now is the time.
I just want to say quickly that we are very thankful for that support. If you are becoming a member,
yes,
the money is literally going to produce additional courses. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And we can fulfill our dream that hopefully many of you share with us to give education. I think that's without this education or future education, that's essential.
And we're constantly working hard on giving more value to the subscribers. I mean, discounts and all kind of different stuff is constantly being worked on, which is it's gonna exclusive to members. So this is something where we can really benefit the community through our contacts in the industry. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to some piece of news in terms of hardware. Now, if you remember the Nexus G1 cinema camera, this is a project that was born out of a need, I would say, of filmmakers wanting to put a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K into a more, I would say, usable body, because the original Pocket 6K, the shape of that is not to everybody's liking. So these guys basically took the guts out.
Two brothers from Australia, no?
Yes, and they really made an amazing project here. And now we can see the first footage. And if you're watching the video version of this podcast, you can see it now. I think it's mighty impressive. They shot something in the Australian rainforest. I didn't even know Australia has a rainforest, to be honest.
Australia has everything from snow.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned to ski in Australia.
Wow.
Don't judge my skiing abilities, but I'm saying Australia has everything that you can think of.
It looks amazing. And the footage is very nice. I mean, it's very nicely graded as well, I think. And it's the camera itself. I mean, this is the first time we see footage out of it. Of course, I mean, the Pocket 6K has great footage already, right? It's like a beautiful color science.
Well, they improved the usability of the camera, basically. They took the brain and they adjusted whatever is possible to fit into this body.
They put an END
exactly
in the body.
Exactly. So there's, of course, a bit of discussion if they're a little bit too late to the party, because since the Pocket Cinema Camera 6K was introduced, now we have all the Pixies and so on. But first of all, I think that here at the office, the consensus is that our hats off to the creators. We know exactly how demanding and how committed you have to be in order to perform and come up with a project like this. And really, this is something that you guys maybe hopefully one day can also experience, but that's really amazing to come up with a prototype and a working prototype basically that can produce now the footage. And the footage looks very nice. I mean, I think that we will try very hard on the next weeks to even get the people behind the project, the brothers, to talk to us, explain more, and hopefully motivate more people. The question is, first of all, they will start selling the camera soon. Price is okay in the sense that it is competitive, but sometimes it really feels that it's like a race to the bottom with prices anyway. And with the Nikon ZR kind of killed it all with $2,200. I'm just saying in general, it's like.
But I mean, in terms of usability and body size, this is much more attractive.
Of course. But you still have to. What really attracts the people with the ZR is the codec. But I don't want to talk about the ZR right now.
Yeah. Well, you have Blackmagic RAW with this, so.
Yeah. So. Of course, it's interesting to know how Blackmagic Design even allowed them to do what they do. That will be very interesting to know, and also to hear more about the way they took. But the camera is now on pre-order, and I think the first units will be already sold in Q1 2026.
I think you didn't mention the price.
Yeah, exactly. That's what would be the next thing. The retail price is $3,300, which again, it's still very competitive. And especially when it has the electronic ND built in, which is, of course, also interesting. Where is the ND coming from? The electronic ND, who is actually the manufacturer behind it? Because there are not so many companies who are doing this.
Well, maybe LC Tech. So
I don't wanna. I don't wanna. By the way, you can get the camera a little bit cheaper, like $2,980 if you're pre-ordering, and it actually looks very nice and it can sustain overheating very well, unlike other cameras. Yeah.
just as a reminder for people who haven't heard about the project, this is a S35 6K sensor, and what's very nice about it, they have come up with this kind of adapter design, which is kind of a native adapter that you can use to basically a speed booster that gives you full frame, kind of built in, which is nice, you know, like an active EF lens mount.
It's very modular in general.
Yeah, and then of course you can also adapt to Micro Four Thirds. The whole design makes so much sense, and I think even if you look at the Pixies, this makes more sense. I think for me, this big screen on top is the right position for this screen. Of course, I mean, it will be interesting to put them kind of side by side. But there's so many, I mean, just having the built-in electronic ND is such a huge advantage over the Pixies that I still think it makes so much sense to have this camera instead, because the Pixies just doesn't have it, and it's a shame. I mean, it's kind of like Blackmagic kind of had built-in NDs, then they kind of dropped them, and it's just something that just makes your one-man band kind of shooting much more annoying, I would say, if you have to use front filtration as on your lens.
I'm just actually wondering very loudly why Blackmagic Design doesn't literally take those guys to work for them and design some of the
because
cameras.
they're also in Australia, you say?
No, because
like they're
already allowing them to touch and open and manipulate their cameras, which doesn't happen often with any manufacturer.
It's amazing. So, it's another way. You know, like, I mean, we should get them on the podcast actually, and we should, you know, like, it would be. We've got to ask Grant Petty about that actually when we met him, but it's just amazing that they are kind of taking them in. Yeah, in general, that they are allowing this to happen because it is, of course, a competition to their own cameras.
Well, that's an older camera. I'm not so sure how much competition there is. The thing is that I really hope that people will see the value here. It's the images are nice. I mean, the sensor is still very capable, and if you obviously fitting it with a different body, which is much more user friendly, and the electronic ND, maybe you get really something special, and the price is very competitive. Yeah,
let's just mention a few things that they actually shared in this update. So basically, they said that on this test shoot, they had the camera running for I think 1.5 hours straight, without overheating, which is of course important to know. Using
57 degrees, that's the thing here.
Wow,
they
57 degrees.
Yeah. They put it in a like an environmental chamber. And they kind of had a benchmark of what is the hottest temperature that was measured recently in Nevada, and they came up with 57 degrees and put it with their own 1 tera max drive to record 1.5 hours without any overheating.
Yeah. They also tested all the multiple IR filter material and the END element to meet stack height requirements, blah, blah, blah. So this worked quite well, and they worked with Griffith University Brisbane on that. So, I mean, I wonder also where the funding comes from for this project. I mean, they must be, you know, like, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, even if you look at it's not like your average kind of self-made project. It's like a proper thing, everything about it, which is
there's
really
molding
amazing.
Here for the body. There's electronic. There's different types of electronics, and PCBs and optical design. It really comes from all different directions, and those people, the brothers behind it, of course, they need to know not only how to do stuff, but also how to manage stuff.
Yeah, we really have to get them on the podcast. I want to know so much about this. So it's amazing, and it's nice that, you know, this is still happening with everything that's, you know, like, I mean, we know the supply chain has been strained quite a bit, and it's just this everything has become so expensive on many ways, also to source, I think, components, that it's really remarkable that they are able to keep the price, even though the shipping is slightly delayed, but we're just ahead of it now. I mean, basically,
that's okay.
That's totally okay. I mean, they're talking about Q1 2026. which is only slightly later than they originally planned. But
Yeah.
let's try to get them. And great project. And we can't wait to actually review the camera, honestly. This episode of CineD Focus Check is sponsored by Surui. Are you looking for that anamorphic look without the weight and hassle of traditional cinematic glass? Look no further. Surui has just changed the game with the Astra series. The world's first T1.8 full-frame autofocus anamorphic lenses. These lightweight lenses give you that signature widescreen look with horizontal flares and oval bokeh, but with fast, reliable autofocus. Choose from 50mm, 75mm or 100mm focal length, each weighing just 600 to 700 grams. The Kickstarter campaign is live right now with super early pricing starting at just $799. Check the link in our show notes to get your hands on these groundbreaking new lenses. And now back to the show. Let's move on to some firmware update news. So talking about overheating, not overheating, the LUMIX S1 V2 from Panasonic, the S1 IIe and the S1 R2 just received finally firmware updates that are supposedly fixing overheating issues that a lot of people experienced.
Yeah, which is, Panasonic LUMIX was always very proud in the active cooling system that they have and how much the cameras will not overheat. Then they introduced the latest generation, which still try to keep the smaller body of the S5 II and have more advanced cameras. And they succeed to put even more and let the cameras do more with internal raw recording, open gate, and so on. At the S1 II, for example. And then we started to hear users, and I think Felix here, who is helping us to produce the podcast, is living evidence of what's happening. Felix
He's
bought
just
two
rolling
cameras.
his eyes now.
Yeah, and of course, when you put money on something, you want to believe this is a professional tool. And when I'm talking a professional tool, that it's a tool that should help you to go through the day with filming. And then when you suddenly getting the alarm that the camera is overheating, there is nothing in the world that will actually help you. And when it's shut down, it's a game over. So the thing is, what we learned from Panasonic is that the camera with the original firmware was actually sensing the outdoor temperature in a kind of a wrong way. And that's what happened there. It would sense a certain temperature, and that sense was on a level that will shut the camera or already generate the overheating.
So what, the thermometer was getting a wrong temperature? Or they're tricking it now into thinking that it's not as hot as it is?
I don't think it's a matter of tricking it. It's more like adjusting that it can read better the outside temperature, and by doing so, it should allow longer recording times. And they actually, first of all, are very transparent. What can cause a heat, which we of course know, but there's a whole list from crop zoom, hybrid zoom, the stabilization, the dynamic. Actually, everything, almost all the good things that the camera is doing are generating heat, and we also know that. It depends really on the card. If it's a CF Express card or normal SD cards, those are both recording or can record for a certain amount of time. Yeah.
In a way, it's a shame that Panasonic doesn't make a cinema camera anymore, because that's where they could get rid of those all those problems much more easily by just constructing a body that allows for more heat dissipation.
This is a whole different discussion. I think the Varicam is dead.
Yeah, but also the EVA 1 is dead.
And I can only presume, and I'm saying this not on any secret knowledge that we have, you just have to be blind to not to see the success of the FX3, FX30, FX2, Nikon ZR, upcoming Canon C50. This is where the market heading. And when the market is heading like this, then suddenly you look left and right and Panasonic LUMIX is simply not there. So they will have to come up.
But those are the same size cameras. I mean,
no. But this is a hybrid camera. You can't, even from the marketing perspective, you know how much we love when companies are calling cameras cinema cameras, which is also interesting. It's hard for us as a community even
You
to
mean
define.
They would do better if they just put a cinema sticker on it?
No, they would do better if they will have a dedicated video camera that can shoot also photos, because right now all of those S1 II, S1R, doesn't matter, those are all hybrid cameras, and as long as those are hybrid cameras, there's a certain what the expectations maybe are a little bit too hard from us, I mean, I wish they could do more,
but there's no I mean, it's a semantic thing. There's no real difference.
It's not a semantic thing, because at the end, when you build something, you can manipulate the inside a little bit different. You can build the heatsink different. You can put the fan in a different place if you need it. Yeah. So with no denial, what Panasonic really needs is a small box type camera or cube or whatever we are used to.
But the FX3 and the ZR are also not box type. They're kind of the same thing. They just that's
type,
why I'm saying sticker. It's basically the same thing.
Not box. I don't know. Let's define the shape right now. But obviously those are not. Those are based on current. The interior is based or shared with other mirrorless cameras, but the priority is given to the video. And when you do a hybrid camera, you just can't give always priority for video.
You mean that? I mean, the issue here is the overheating. If this is solved, all that's left is marketing.
It's not only about this,
What else?
Well,
you have internal RAW.
When you're coming to shoot, when you're coming to set, the more experienced you are, the less you care how you look in terms of what you bring on set.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But the younger generation, sometimes when they come to the set and they come with a camera, with a hybrid camera, from the outside, it looks like the camera of the client.
But that's exactly what I mean. It's marketing. It's just how you sell it. But if they would, let's say, take the S1 II and give it a carbon fiber body and just put cinema in front, cinema LUMIX, whatever, and it doesn't overheat anymore, and it has 100% of the same features.
That's not
it's the same thing. That's marketing.
Yeah, but that's not Panasonic. Panasonic, in every generation of cameras, they will bring something exceptional.
Yeah, I'm saying. So I'm just saying. But it is essentially, there is nothing that an FX3 can do that a LUMIX, one of the most recent LUMIX, can. Quite the opposite, actually. And with the ZR, kind of the same thing. I mean, you have a different flavor of ProRes, flavor of internal RAW recording with the Nikon, but that's it. No, I mean.
So two things. I really, and again, this is it's very. I want to make it clear. It's not that we have any inside information, but I can predict that the next, if and when Panasonic will decide to bring to the market a small factor cinema camera, you call it marketing, it will for sure will have something that we haven't seen before with the competitors. That's one thing. Second thing is, have you ever had a camera shot on you because of overheating during production?
Many times.
Many times. How is the feeling? Horrible, no? You just simply can't do anything. Yeah. You literally have people waiting for you. Like it can be the protagonist, it can be the crew, it doesn't matter, but you feel like an idiot. So this is something that I'm happy that they took notes and they're trying to improve. Although we're already reading in some comments that some people not 100% sure that it's helping them. But guys, please follow two things. First of all, the instructions how to install this free update, and the second thing is make sure to read what the update gives, because maybe your expectations again are too high. But next to this. At least there's a whole list of what the cameras are able to do now. What really caught my attention, first of all, there's autofocus improvements. That's always good to have. The next thing is the new low bit rate. They call it MP4 Lite video recording in open mode. And this is open gate mode. I want to make sure to which camera. I don't know if maybe probably for the whole cameras.
I think it's for all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's really for the three of them. But that's really nice to have, since it really allows much faster delivery to social media, for example.
So 50 megabits per second in UHD. Open gate.
Yeah, and then you can really crop whatever you need.
It must be H.265 though, right? Because otherwise it's very low. If it's H.264.
Well, I don't know what is the container. We just have to see the container. The other thing that I really liked is that there's like an improved dual native ISO operation. Some people don't really know, because when you're working on which ISO you are, the low or the high. So now there's a visible way to see which one you're using.
Yeah.
So if you're using the low, it will be in color blue, and the high on red. And I really like it, of course. And if you are working with exposure tools, the false color display now got some improvement. And there's some improvements to the app that they have, the LUMIX Flow app. But in all honesty, I'm personally not using the app, so I can't.
We reported about this separately already. Right. Yeah. Okay.
But guys, please tell us if you did install the update. Let us know how it's affecting your camera.
Did you already update your cameras, Felix? No.
Downloaded it today.
Okay, you downloaded. And it just tell me I can reshare for the audience. You had a problem. You recorded actually a podcast on a lake or something, right? And you had all the cameras overheat and everybody waited.
Several times overheating issues.
Crazy.
In indoor and outdoor also.
How did you solve it?
By waiting and putting the camera in the shade and waiting for.
So everybody had to wait for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's I mean, what you ultimately need to do is first thing is to take the card out. The card is such a huge heat generator, and I can tell you guys, doesn't matter if you put it in an ice box or in a fan next to a fan, it doesn't help. The body is sealed. That's part of the idea of a sealed body. So that will not really
Maybe
help.
that's the future. A card manufacturer needs to make a cooling memory card.
Well, if you look,
Cooling pack card.
some of the cards are already now moving in I don't know, titanium or all of those. So that can help also with heat dispensing in general.
Yeah, aluminium gets very warm quickly.
But, that's a different thing. Do you think we're even going to get some cards to record on?
Nice segue, Johnny. Nice segue. I like it. All right. Yeah, let's talk about the next topic, which is global memory shortage 2026. Now, this is an overarching theme which is not only affecting our industry, but it looks like we are soon to be facing a scarcity when it comes to memory in general, and that will affect even hard disks. It will affect SSDs, DRAM, NAND storage, and everything that goes basically into also any SSD, but also camera memory. And that is because of AI. So all the big, with this huge AI boom and the huge evaluations that those companies get and the huge amount of money that they are currently pouring into building data centers around the world, this means they're literally buying up every last piece of memory. And we heard from a we were tipped by a camera memory manufacturer that we should look into this because it is affecting all of them. And it's become incredibly difficult for them to source memory to any reasonable price or at all, actually. With some of the big players buying up everything that's there. And this is not really because, of course, retail is always a little bit delayed. So what you have in stock now at the retailers probably has been lying around for a couple of months, but it will affect the production now. So those are things that will only hit the shelves in, probably the first quarter of 26, where because of that scarcity, we really have to expect much higher prices.
Yeah. I want to be even more direct and say it's funny for me when I see now retailers actually offering cards in a discount prices. They are literally have gold in their hands, and they don't have to. So if you're a user, and it's not that I want to cause any panic, this is a reality. Yeah. Soon we will have less cards to buy. So if right now you see some cards in a better prices, please consider, because we when there will be, it's actually I'm very curious to see where it's going to take us. We know for sure that Apple, for example, stocked up to the roof in order to have enough for their laptops or whatever. So that will not affect them, and maybe it will not even change the prices too much. But if they are stocking, that means for the others that there is less to buy, of course. So, and it's not a matter of a single manufacturer. Many of them do have an issue to find right now. They have the money to buy. They want to buy the material, but literally there's nothing to source. So also report to us in case that you are going to your local vendor It will be interesting to know if you can already sense some shortage, and just be aware of this. That's the aim of the article, is not to cause any panic, but more to be aware of it. That might happen.
Yeah. So it is, like we know a lot of those Black Friday deals that are out there. You have to look closely if they're actually a deal. We report, by the way, on the front page every day. Johnny takes the time to update the deal, especially with B&H reduced price. So if you head over to the front page, I'm just mentioning this. You've been doing this for weeks now, actually. This is updated every day, and you get the best deals by kind of curated by us. And some of them might be memory related or might not be, but check out if you get a good deal on memory. Now is the time to really consider buying, because it doesn't look like this is gonna get easier quickly. It's gonna get worse a lot before it gets easier. And it's almost like they're dealing around with memory now as if it's the new gold. It's simply because of the crazy amount of storage that all those AI data centers require. And there's so much money going into this now. It's in general, we're seeing that they're only limited now, not by the funding that they have, they are limited by the sheer capacity of workforce that needs to build those data centers. Even switches and stuff like that are becoming scarce for data centers. And memory, of course, is being the top one thing that they need. And on top of the NVIDIA chips.
What is really sad for me, we already talked in the past about two things. First of all, about camera to cloud recording. And we know that currently this is simply not feasible. It's just too slow. We also talked about having internal memory in a camera, yes or no. And we see some manufacturers like Sigma and DJI including internal memory, which I think it's still a very clever thing. There is no in between. I mean, imagine if somebody would come with a different solution that doesn't actually hold you by the throat. If there are no cards, there is not much you can do.
What do you mean in between?
To find a different solution, like the internal memory, for example, is almost like an in-between solution. Meaning, if you don't have, if you have a problem with an external card, you still have inner capacity, although it is a bit limited, but you still can use the camera. And of course, camera to cloud is not ready yet. So I'm just saying, I wish there was more clever solutions, not that I know right now, I'm just saying more clever solutions to record without being affected and feeling a hostage if there's such a shortage of cards.
Yeah, I think one of the things is that a lot of people, we have so many card standards in a way, and I think it would be nice to, just using an external SSD, for example, sometimes is a quite feasible solution because you can use that same SSD for many different things, right? And if you're you might not use your CF Express Type B card also for editing. You might only use that in camera. So I think kind of having storage that's unused for other things, made reusable for also in-camera recording, could be a way out. But yeah,
there's only a handful of manufacturers that who are supporting now, like a USB-C external recording, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, so just be aware of that, and if you need memory, just consider stocking up on it, because it's not going to get easier next year. Let's move on to an article we ran from Leon Barnard on shooting Apple Immersive video in the Swiss Alps with the Blackmagic URSA Cine Immersive. Now, first of all, this is based on a very nice video that they made again. That's Leon and Natalie, his partner, and they took the challenge to actually shoot immersive video outdoors in, not easy environment, of course. They are basically went hiking with a lot of gear, also in a helicopter, with the Blackmagic URSA Cine Immersive. Now, we know that this is very much, of course, a niche topic still, because, you can only consume the content using a Vision Pro. But it is something where a lot of people are currently making content, and Apple is really educating them. They recently finished this like there was a 2-day event in Cupertino where Apple invited a lot of creators to kind of learn about how to make those films. Well, we actually also have an article planned for this to run through what they, kind of taught there. But this was an interesting experiment, like it's just simply a completely different way of filming, because positioning the camera works very different from positioning a traditional camera. How do you actually create immersive images with basically 2 fisheye lenses? So you need the action, you need to have the action in front of you, you need to kind of plan on what's going on. There's no fast cuts or anything like that. It's also tilting the camera will completely make a different impression than filming straight on and stuff like that. So very interesting insights from Leon and Natalie here, and they also thankfully wrote this guest article on their experience. So if you're into immersive filmmaking or looking into kind of diversifying what you do, this is definitely
please remind me, what is the outcome of such a way of shooting? Because I still don't get it. I still don't get the benefit of shooting like this. What's the outcome? Okay, I shot a beautiful video, immersive in the Alps. Then what? What do I do with this? What's the end product will be?
I said, it's for the Vision Pro. You have
who has 5 people in the world? No, all of this effort for what exactly? This is really literally throwing money.
Okay. Well, it's not for everybody. It's like shooting on film, like
no,
you can.
Come on. How can you compare?
It's the same thing.
All of this effort, and I love what the couple are doing, and I want to talk to them and learn more. But all of this effort for what?
It's usually, they call it boutique experiences now. Like a lot of brands are putting the Vision Pros in their stores.
Can we change our podcast name to a boutique experience?
Yeah, but Johnny, what do you want? A lot of the things we talk about are for a small amount of people. So it's it's a different thing, it's of course it's very niche, undoubtedly, but as far as we heard from Blackmagic, they've been selling quite a few of those immersive cameras, so there must be need for this. This is a $30,000 camera.
Maybe
Do you
I
think
was
people?
Not in the conversation. I'm serious. Maybe I missed it.
We were told that they are doing quite well with this camera, so it's more than they expected in terms of how many they sold.
I'm very happy for them. Really good to know. Good.
Well, so not your thing, not your cup of tea.
Not at all.
Good. Let's move on to something that might be more your cup of tea, which is a cheap tripod from Libec. So
it's not a cheap tripod; it's a modestly tripod. There's always a big difference between cheap and modestly priced.
Less than $200 is cheap for me.
Okay.
But you did an interview.
Before the interview, let me just summarize quickly Interbi 2025, because that's also important. So we were there. And,
you were there. You always read we. You were there.
Yeah, but I'm not there for my face for radio. I'm representing us, and very interesting, actually. I have to say, just for those who don't know the show, there are 2 main shows in Japan. One is Interbi during November, and this is more for the broadcast and the kind of film industry. And then there's CP Plus in February, more for the photographers, and also now because of hybrid cameras for content creators / filmmakers. And the big difference is actually when the exhibition is taking place. So CP Plus is also running during the weekend, unlike Interbi. Interbi is literally Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I think, at least from my observation, and I also talk to many manufacturers, it's really hurting the show. Less people coming. It is busy, but not crowded. Yeah, I think the show organizer should really consider to run it at least on a Saturday, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Less people are working. Many more people might come. And overall, we've so much.
You should explain to them in the Japanese version of this podcast, because otherwise they might not hear this.
Well, it's not that we are trying to educate anybody. I'm just saying from far and above, this is the impression that I get. And when I talk to exhibitors, companies, reputable companies from our industry, if they're already considering if to participate next year, this is not a good sign for the organizers.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And the second thing is, I think they're all noticing that maybe it might be more profitable for them. And when I say profitable, it's not a matter of money. Also, it's a matter of exposure actually to participate at the CP Plus, because a lot of the accessories that you make now, those days, doesn't matter if it's bags, lights, or cages, will fit, and also for photographers, they will work with similar equipment.
Well, I always felt like, I mean, this is not a big show in general, and I think there's a lot going on in the world at the same time, usually in November. So especially it always happens at the same time with Camera Image in Poland.
It's
so
a different
I think
market, like different.
yeah, but
audience.
still, you had a lot of. We've talked to manufacturers at IBC, and then when you ask them, will I see you at Interbi? A lot of them said, no, I'm actually going to be a Camera Image, especially from the cinema world. Some people at Sony, some people at, remember those conversations. So I think it's just always difficult. And then also those shows are very close to each other. Like, I mean, Interbi and CP Plus, you're talking about November and February. That's just 3 months.
Yeah, again, it's targeted
in the same
towards,
country.
It's towards
Yeah.
it's towards different audience. For example, if you take the Sony or Canon or even Fujifilm booth, of course you will see the hybrid cameras, but there is more emphasis towards the
Yeah, but still, we
cinema
know
stuff.
because I mean,
And, sorry,
everything is growing together. Yeah.
Sure, but the other elements that we are not really dealing with on daily basis, like PTZ cameras
Broadcast
and
infrastructure.
virtual studios, those things are becoming so strong for the Japanese manufacturers, and you can see a whole construction over there. Canon, Sony, and so on, how they see the future, because those companies are serving a lot of studios at the end and also a lot of broadcasters. Yeah, so all in all, Interbi is still there. I think it's still valuable to go, to see, to talk to manufacturers, and also feel where the direction. And by the way, all the major camera manufacturers there. Nobody skipped it, of course. They can't afford it. It's their home base, basically, so they can't do this. Back to Libec. So Libec, we know the owner. We know the people behind the company. We appreciate what they do, especially in this competitive generation right now. It's really crazy how it's doing, because they feel the pressure, of course, from the Chinese manufacturers that are doing very well with lower priced tripod. And traditionally Libec would do more like broadcast a tripod, much bigger constellations and all of this. But now they decided to actually give a good fight for the Chinese companies. So they came up with, this is the first time ever, a tripod that actually has a Arca-Swiss plate, which we all know serving a bit better all those mirrorless cameras. And they redesigned the head, redesigned legs. Maybe the legs are a little bit here the weak point in the sense of the height. I think those going, the minimum is like 70 centimeters or 71. I personally would want to see something which is collapsing below the 50 centimeters, so I can take it on board with me if I need, if I have only one bag to travel. But it's really lightweight. It's not carbon, but it's still lightweight. But the highlight here is actually the head.
Let's just, because you mentioned the leg, I was a bit surprised. It doesn't go very high also.
The height is okay. I mean, it's when you talk about height, and
For
when
you.
I talk about height, I think
It's
we talk
good.
about different heights. So it depends depending who's doing the interview,
Or who you are interviewing. That's more important.
That's true. But also, I think the advantage here will go to some tripods with center column.
So what is the height?
I have to see. I have
because
to find it
I just
quickly.
saw somebody commented that it's like it's too low.
Yeah, but all in all, it's not that I felt that it's too low, at least for me. And the nice thing is really the head. I think the head is a beginning of something. There are plenty of tripod legs everywhere. I think what we are really lacking is good travel heads, small ones. This one has a 65 millimeter ball, but you can also, when you unscrew it, it has like a flat head with some 1/4 inch screwed, and you can really manipulate it and put it on sliders or whatever you need, or even on a different head that you like. So
it's funny how this actually I can just compare it to this KNF concept that I reviewed, which is also around $200.
Yeah.
And with that one, I felt that the legs were the strong point and the head is not so great. So maybe you can buy both and combine them.
No, what I want to do, and this is we have different ideas about products or whatever. this is obviously something that we might have to look in the future and maybe work with some manufacturers to make a proper traveling head, and see where it takes us.
Yeah, I think they're all still way too big in a way, the way they are.
Well, it's not very, actually it's very lightweight and it's really beautiful. It's so smooth because it is a fluid head, but the size is tiny bit bigger. If that could still be a bit smaller, but I've seen a lot of smaller heads, but none of them is really, some of them are using different mechanics in order to give this feeling of a fluid head, but they are not fluid head.
True. And I mean, the one that I like in size-wise best is on the Peak Design Pro, but it's not a fluid head, but it's very small. And if somebody just managed to have such a small thing, but with some kind of technology that gives you the way to actually change the drag, but it's like, and tripods really haven't changed in how they work in decades. So
well, it's a craft, it's a craft. I don't know when was the last time that you saw an open head, but tripod head. But when you look at those, it's unbelievable what goes inside. It's so cramped and it's so crowded.
Just what surprises me always when also reviewing tripods is that the payload is also very high, even on affordable tripods.
That's rather low.
I think that's the right way to go with cameras these days being so light.
Yeah.
I think it's fine if you have a payload that's 1.5 kilos, which if it allows you to shrink the head, that would be amazing.
Well, the payload here is 3 kilos.
Yeah.
We already got some comments from people saying, 3 kilos, but actually it's not so bad. I think it's good for what it is. Again,
I think it could even be less. Mohammed, if I talk about a mirrorless camera with a monitor or a viewfinder, it's a kilo. It's like...
Well, but 3 kilo, I think it's a good. It kind of gives a hoverhead not to have any issues, and the complete set here is 2 kilos, 2.7 kilos.
Okay. Yeah. So well, they really. I mean, the price is amazing, of course.
I like the spirit here. I like the spirit that it's like it's not if we can't beat them, join them. It's more like if we can't beat them, we even beat them. We try even harder. And that's really great.
And they have very good tripods in general. I mean, we have one of their I forgot the name.
Libec, you mean?
The Libec tripods are really good, and I think they're a little bit underestimated here in. They're kind of big in the broadcast, I think.
Yeah, the thing is that they are very big in Japan.
Yeah, and in the broadcast area, you see the big heads that they have.
So,
but I think people should look at it also, like for smaller cameras and just as if you're a one-man band. I mean, but also the higher end version of this one. I forgot what it's called, but we have one here which is amazing. It's very good.
I think it needs another one round of development.
Yeah,
and then it can be perfect. I mean, if they will move into carbon fiber, if they will make sure that the legs are a bit shorter, the head just to make it tiny, smaller, I think they will have a winner, especially when they are able to sell it in those prices. And if you guys, I think it was 1.5 or 2 years ago, we made a factory tour. Just see for yourself how they build it. It's literally handmade.
Yeah. Cool. Let's move on to the Panomicron Bismuth 50mm f2.8 1.5x anamorphic lens, which is now expanding to M mount. Yeah,
so I came across this project. It's a Kickstarter project, and it's actually what really caught my imagination. It's a few things. First of all, it's a Swiss inventor by the name Oskar Gasthoff Hauson. I hope that I pronounce it correctly. Nevertheless, this is a very talented young gentleman. He already did some stuff in his life, modifying cameras and so on. He had a project of building anamorphic adapter, 1-3 adapter, and now he literally decided to build an anamorphic lens. Now, Nino, how much I love anamorphic lenses, and when I saw this, I really looked a bit closer, and one thing is for sure, this is a gentleman that I think we should talk to in one of those podcasts, because it's just interesting, and it's also interesting to see how he ran the successful Kickstarter campaign. I just wish that more people would back him up. Only 62 people backed him up, but he managed to raise more than 100,000 euros, and I hope that will help him to realize this dream. But that was a completely transparent campaign. He gave the feeling that he's literally hiding nothing. He's actually sharing with the community what he did so far, what he's doing now, what is the aim, where he's at right now. So it was literally inspiring to hear this young gentleman talking and learn a lot from him. And I think I wish him all the luck, really. And I encourage you guys, because the campaign is ended, but you can still back it up. Yeah. And about the lens itself, it should be rather special. A lot of it is it's kind of a theory based on facts. He's like he studied the whole anamorphic thing inside out, but there is no actual lens. It's really looking into CAD designs and so on, and hoping that it will come out the way that he wanted to come out. Of course, we kind of got used to or been spoiled with very cheap anamorphic lenses lately. Some of them are even autofocus. This particular one will be a little bit more expensive. Let me just find. Yeah, it's going to cost around 1,700 euro. So not to say it's not cheap per se. From what we kind of got used on the lower end. On the other hand, it should have a lot of characteristic, really something that maybe we are looking for, and something which sometimes is very absent from the cheaper lenses. Yeah, that will be a 50mm f2.8 1.5 anamorphic M mount lens. So we will have in the show notes about one of the disadvantages of Kickstarter when the campaign is kind of ended. You don't find anymore a lot of information, but I hope
it's still there. You can click on the left link here, and then it's the campaign thing.
Yeah,
but
so
you have to find it.
You have to find it. So please, first of all, visit our site just to read a little bit more, and then maybe you want to head to Kickstarter, see the video itself, and so on. And if you want to back it up, I think the young gentleman, really deserve a lot of compliment for daring.
And it's only M mount?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that can it can be adaptable. Let's see.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Let's move on to the last piece of news of this week: the Adobe Premiere Pro update to 25.6.1, which adds native Nikon and RAW support and the new AI tools. Now, this is something we already talked about around your Nikon ZR review, where you used the beta version of this just to use it. Now it's out in the production version, I think.
Well, in my Nikon review, we talked about the NRAW, but also the R3D. Because of the traveling, when this update was released, I couldn't really test it. I'm also curious to see if it can already do R3D or maybe not, because obviously there is no announcement here. For the Nikon NRAW, you will see when you actually open it, it will tell you that it's a Nikon Red codec, so maybe you can actually do some tricks with this or whatever, but it's nice to see that finally, and it took ages, that Adobe is supporting the Nikon's NRAW. I mean, what? We have seen since the Z9 days. How many years is this? And only now, obviously it was not a big priority for Adobe, but now it's being supported.
But there's all the other new stuff also in this update.
Yeah. So the thing that really caught my imagination, or what I really finally like to see, and we hinted when I was at the Adobe Max, now you can finally import footage from Frame.io, and you can really work on the project internally. And this is a big thing for me. I guess if the internet connection is fast enough, you can work from the cloud basically. This is something to try and see if it works. And what else?
That's going to be a very laggy playback, though.
I don't know, but at least it's always about the imagination and the spirit here. I like that if that's at least working, maybe there's some technical solutions to make it that's also more accessible to different editors in different regions. Other thing is the Adobe stock panel, and our colleague Dave, who wrote the article, obviously he's working a lot with Adobe stock footage, and now he has direct access to 92,000 free clips and so on. And for him, that was the most important thing in this update. And of course, I respect it. I like actually the sensor transcript. That meaning that every time you say every time you say something that you shouldn't say,
it's bleeping it.
It's exactly so
automatically across the timeline.
Yeah, I think you can even write what words you can
choose the words.
Exactly. So different stuff. An update. But you know, I'm looking at the bigger picture here, and for me, the bigger picture is where Adobe is actually heading to. Many other tools are becoming stronger because of AI, and I really want to see, and I'm very curious to see, especially with Adobe Premiere, if they will can react faster. For example, I think it's already now or next week the Canon EOS C50 will be in the market, and although it's using the same or kind of the same Canon Light RAW, it is different because of the open gaze support. So obviously, when I reviewed the Canon C50, I couldn't edit the footage on Adobe Premiere, and now it's already 2.5 months, almost 3 months since then.
Yeah, but do you think those? I mean, talking about niche, you talked about niche with immersive. I mean, this is also a niche.
What?
If you look at
Canon EOS C50 is a niche, or will be a niche.
Open gate on this camera for sure. It's like how many people will actually need this? You know, like I don't think this is
nothing to do with the open gate now, Nino. It's about the codec. The codec is not supported.
Okay, well, yeah, but I think in general, I think Adobe is under pressure. We see that Affinity has been made free. You know, like the Affinity Designer and the Photoshop competitor, basically.
Yeah.
So now you can have something that even opens PSD files for free and edit it, and it's getting to a point where it's you know, like a lot of people are annoyed with Adobe subscriptions.
Yeah, but it's beyond this. They haven't found the golden route, meaning how to do AI without making people really lose jobs, because the Adobe Max, some of the stuff they introduced, you knew that the next day some people will lose jobs. They just didn't say this because they can't say this.
Yeah, well, they can.
That's one thing.
They're trying to fully jump on this train because they know that if they don't, a lot of people will just simply not use their tools anymore and just do stuff elsewhere.
Exactly. So, and the other thing is, of course, others are being cannibalizing them with very good tools, equally good tools, either for free, or some things are even doing better. So, and then we talk about Adobe Premiere, and Adobe Premiere, they're not moving fast enough. They're simply much too slow to implement new codecs because the industry is moving forward very fast. So, I mean, come on, let's say in a very open way, the Nikon ZR, when it comes to the R3D, the most that's the main selling point for this camera, is simply not supported, and the camera is already in the market. So how long people will have to wait for that? So what, they think that people will simply wait for them with editing? Or I think people simply will go to other editing tools that can edit, like the DaVinci Resolve, which is for free. So,
yeah,
you know, it's a big ship. It's a very big ship. It's listed publicly in the stock exchange. I actually haven't seen, I didn't go there for a long time. Maybe you can quickly check. I really wonder how all of those trends are affecting the stock. But somebody there must take a decision.
They took a big hit over the last year, I would say. And you can tell that, yeah, I think it's just difficult to be only in software and then rely on subscriptions when everybody is really getting annoyed with subscriptions, and you have so much competition that is literally giving away, like Blackmagic Design, a lot of capability for free or for very little money.
They're putting all their money on the ecosystem, basically. You know, that you can really access FreeFly and
Firefly.
I made it free. I made it free. Yeah, and Frame.io. You can literally integrate and go in and out from those tools. If that's the right thing, what will convince people to stay in this ecosystem, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, and it's becoming we see these huge differences of the AI models in what they're capable of, and they're already offering now to use also Nano Banana inside of Photoshop, for example, and so on.
Yeah,
but it's kind of diluting a little bit because everybody knows you can also use this in a different tool. You can use the same Google thing in a different tool, so it's becoming almost exchangeable in a way, this capability. However, I think it's the core capabilities of things like Photoshop and Premiere that are not so easy to replace. I think in editing, it's probably easier to switch to DaVinci than it is from Photoshop to a lot of people don't even know about Affinity, but it's there, and it can do a lot of things that a Photoshop does.
I'm risking myself saying that there's a whole new generation of creators that will one day are growing up on tools that are not necessarily Adobe.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and
CapCut.
if Adobe will not wake up in time, we already seen giants in our industry collapsing, and that can happen. I mean, it looks like...
I think
really?
they are aware of it. I mean, they're really trying their best to push those AI tools as much as they
should
can.
we advise them?
But what do you want to advise them to? I mean, I think they're trying everything they can do to push as much AI capabilities into their tools as they can, but it also at the risk of alienating a lot of their existing customers.
Yeah.
And if you have tools, if now generative AI tools built into the editing, it's also a slippery slope in terms of what do you even tell your client as an editor, for example? If you're generatively expanding a clip where the footage is over and then you need a couple seconds more and you generative expand it, do you think the editor will tell their producer that they did this? I'm talking about news context, for example. It's also adding this whole ethical problem and kind of ingesting it into the creative process. And then, you have tools like Nano Banana built in all of this. And I think the producers and the organizations they won't even know. If the editor just does it, they will never know. Yeah. And that's creating a lot of problems, I think. And it can really bite them also.
Yeah. Suggestion number one, and maybe I will stop after the number one, suspend the Adobe Max. You're spending much too much on this event. It's crazy. Yeah. And you can use this money for so many other... This is almost
to make your subscription cheaper.
No, this is like we are it's how do you call it when you touching your ego? Fine, good, great company, no problem.
Keeping everybody happy, yeah.
But put your best brains in one room and look at the future in bright eyes. Try to analyze what people hate most and what they like best. Find the middle way, how to do this. Maybe I'm brave to talk here, but obviously in some areas you're not doing well enough. You're much too slow.
And be more flexible with the licensing. This is what probably annoys me most. If you're paying for, let's say, a photography plan, and you can have it open on 2 computers, and then you open it on a third one, it always locks you out. It's endless, and then at some point you get the email from Adobe. Oh, it looks like your license is used by more than one person, and you're like, come on. You're literally in the middle of somewhere with your license, and you're in the middle of nowhere opening up Photoshop or whatever, and it tells you that you need to connect to the internet in order to be able to use the software you're paying for. This is what really pisses people off, and there's a better way of doing this. But we know, we
will not change the world, this is our observation, and I know when I open Adobe Premiere today, after the update, and I want to edit my R3D Nikon footage, I can't. If I want to edit EOS C50 footage, I can't. I'm talking about the raw footage, So what does it mean? I let others judge. Okay.
All right, let's move on
to the last topic.
To the last topic, and that is the Module 8 Mood Hypnotic Sony E-mount tuner. Now, talking about innovative lens technology, I would say, like the anamorphic lens we just talked about. Now, this is also quite interesting. This is an E-mount to E-mount adapter. Yes, that is possible, which gives you a 1.3 times crop, and it adds kind of a swirly bokeh to all your shots, essentially. And it looks like that. It's quite interesting. It keeps the focus in the middle of the image, and when you rack focus, you can see how it almost gives you a look of, for those people not actually seeing the video here, it almost gives you a look of entering warp speed. On the Enterprise, everything kind of moves by you in a way. All the lights. It's quite interesting, I would say, and it's cool that you can simply do this with any one of your E-mount lenses on the Sony camera, and Yeah.
Nino. At the interview, I saw a family of lenses from 7 artisans. The name is Flora Bloom. That's the name of those lenses. They come in, I think, in 3 or 4 focal lengths. They look, first of all, they're all purple, so I like the color.
Because we're in a purple studio, or
Not only, but the idea is they're very compact, they're very stylish, and they're built really well. The thing is, they're doing the same. Where's the censorship of Adobe? I really need now because I want to use a word. They're doing the same thing with the bokeh. Yeah,
but you need a special lens for that, and in this case, you don't need a special lens.
Exactly. Now the thing is, what I wanted to say about the lens, beautiful lens, but I wish that I could use it for normal filming. And here, the question is, will you use it for some projects like music videos or whatever? Because when you do this, you can't fix it. The elements are so strong. What you see here, the distortion is very, very strong, and you cannot. It's a very specific
What do you mean
thing.
fix it? Yeah, it's specific. It's like a filter in front of the lens. It's just behind the lens.
It's even stronger. So the question is, will you use such elements for projects, knowing that when you film it this way, that's how it is? Do you see yourself filming some projects with such a
if
adapter?
you want the look. It's the same as putting a filter in front. No, it's like
not so much as a filter.
I don't know. It's just a look thing. It's just like why people are shooting on, a specific film stock.
Yeah, maybe that's just my mood after such a long flight. But I'm just saying, the company in general, I think they really brought some very nice adapters before.
I just like the fact that you can use this with any one of your lenses, and you don't anything I don't have to put in front of the lens is great for me. It's like having an ND filter in the camera. It's like having the look that I want in between the lens and the camera is amazing. And you even keep the autofocus capability of your E-mount lens, which is kind of significant. That's real innovation for me, and because of course that's the first worry. Do I lose the autofocus? And yeah, it's not for everybody. It's of course not for every project, but it's just having this ability to suddenly all the E-mount lenses you have, you can just add this and have this effect on one project. Why wouldn't I try that?
But now that we have E2E mount, I wonder if that can be actually adapted to electronic ND or anything else.
What do you mean, electron?
Like to have for some alpha cameras that don't have built-in ND, if you can use such a component and to build internal ND in some clever way.
You mean instead of the optical?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, there are adapters. I don't know if there's an E2E that actually lets you swap but it's very slim. You see it in this video.
That's right. It's
of
very
course,
slim.
it can't add a lot of distance, because otherwise the flange distance won't cut it anymore.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how the back focus is actually affected of the lenses, of course. But
maybe it's too thin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. But it's interesting also that it has the connectors on it. I really wonder if Sony is licensing. Like actively licensing companies to use their.
Good question.
Yeah.
There are very few third-party lenses that have native E-mount that also have autofocus. Well, I think Sigma has them, Zeiss and some others that actually support autofocus through the E-mount. So it must be possible to do that.
Yeah, many others, also some Chinese companies. The question is always the question of if it's being licensed or not, because we hear more and more about Japanese companies that now started to chase companies who are using the autofocus, like the proprietary.
The protocol. Yeah.
The protocol itself, the proprietary protocol, and actually don't pay royalties to the camera manufacturers. This is just something to be aware of.
Yeah, I think the pricing is attractive. It's $400. It's not crazy. There's an early bird pricing of $300, and it's available for pre-order. But let's wrap it up here. And there will certainly be more to talk about next week. Thank you, Johnny. And don't forget to subscribe on all your major favorite podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, of course. Leave a comment. Email us at podcast@cined.com if you have a question or request. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.